Want to learn how to increase your paddling strength and fitness, catch more waves and paddle out easier? This is what the video is all about. Hello, it's Talita from Kinetic Ability and welcome back to episode 3 in our Surf Fit series. If you are new here, welcome to the channel and welcome back to our new subscribers. Any links that will be mentioned in this video can be found in the description box down below. Let's jump into it. So if you've been following the series, which hopefully you have, you will know a fair amount now about training principles, some basic surfing biomechanics, training for joint health, and lastly movement planes. If that sounded like a foreign language to you, I highly recommend you go back and watch the previous episodes so that you can follow this episode a bit better. So right now we are going to break down paddling and jump into some practical examples of how you can train to increase your paddling. As always, near the end of the video, there will be some bonus tips about how you can look after your shoulders to avoid any imbalances created by surfing. So make sure you stick around for that. So going back to our anatomical movement planes, paddling is a combination of our sagittal, transverse, and frontal plane. We call that multi-planar movement. In terms of movement patterns, it's a combination of horizontal and vertical pulling patterns. So if you remember back to our previous episodes, examples of those movements would be horizontal row and a vertical pull. By the way, I'd love to know how you currently train for surfing. Let me know in the comment section down below. Other elements that we don't often consider is having good trunk, core, basically lower body stability and strength, as well as having good thoracic spine extension and overhead mobility and flexibility. So having that stable base to paddle from increases our paddle efficiency. Considering we spend over 50% of our time in the water paddling, this is massive on top of the list. Let's break it down. Let's start with the shoulder. It is a ball and socket joint. As you can see here, this is the humerus, this is the round part, the head it's called, and it sits into that socket. So it is a ball and socket joint, quite like your hip. So that part is your scapula, or more commonly referred to as your shoulder blade. There is also loads of little other joints around that area, but I'm not going to go into them. There'll be a link in the description if you want to dig a bit deeper. So this muscle is your lat muscle in orange, and as you can see, when it pings up, it is bringing your arm behind you. So it functions to bring your arm behind you and also to rotate it inwards, as you can now see. You've also got your tricep muscles, which are heavily involved in surfing. As you can see again in the orange, when it's lighting up, it is bringing the arm back down. Okay, so about probably mid-stroke. That's when your triceps are going to get involved. Moving on to the back. So here you can see the entire spine, zooming in on the thoracic spine. It is the longer segment of the spine. So you can see here, they're quite long processes sticking out. And the way that this part of the back is made, it allows for loads and loads of movement. So that's where we want all the movement to happen: rotation, flexion, extension, side flexion. Again, look in the description if you're interested to know more on this stuff. Then if I show you lower down the back, you can see that those spinous processes are not the same shape, okay? They're not as long, they are fatter as well. So as you can imagine, they're gonna hit off each other much sooner. So they don't allow for a great deal of rotation. That part of the back is serving more flexion and extension. These muscles help us to keep our back stable. So these are the spinal erectors. They help to side flex the spine, rotate, and also to extend. Okay, so ding ding, paddling position. So these need to be nice and strong. In terms of our energy systems, we need our anaerobic paddle power for when we want to catch a wave and we only have got like 3 paddles, for example, or when you're trying to sprint paddle, trying to get over that massive set wave that's coming on the horizon. We also need our aerobic paddle power for when we want to paddle for 4 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes, just to last the session. So depending on the situation, it'll be the different energy system providing you with energy. And again, like I always say, there are some crossovers between these. It's never just one, it's just, if you can imagine like 3 different things going up and down, sometimes it's more of that one and then less of that one, and it goes like that basically. We will be covering energy systems in detail in our conditioning episodes, so if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned. For now, we're just going to leave it at that because it's totally an episode within itself. Lastly, in all of this, we need to consider your personal training aims and weaknesses. The only way this will be effective is if you do apply the proper training principles in relation to your training aims. What should help you determine your training aims are your weaknesses and deficits, basically. So there is kind of a hierarchy to the progression. You would generally train strength before you jump into any power work, and that is also from a kind of an injury prevention perspective. So what does a typical anaerobic power paddling session look like? Here we have the bodyweight row. As you can see, I am exploding up to the top of that movement. And here is a legs extended version if the first variation is too easy. If you have no equipment, just need a tea towel, wrap it around a door, put your feet against the door, and you have a row station. Also, you can use your dining table. So as you can see, this works perfect. And the second exercise I'm going to use is a pull-up. So if you can't do a pull-up, you need to work on that first. Before you would train power, you need to train strength. Exploding up to the top of the bar. Another variation is with a band. And lastly, you can also do this as a kettlebell or dumbbell row if you don't have a pull-up bar. So it does depend what you have and what level you are currently at in terms of your strength and your power. And secondly, what does an aerobic paddling training session look like? That bodyweight row again, as you can see, this is a much easier variation. This is because I want you to be able to do this movement for 1 minute, okay? And then you are going to move on. If that variation is too easy, just basically keep walking your feet down until you become parallel with the floor. Third exercise, which is a straight arm lat pull down. So again, using a resistance band, or if you're in a gym, which I highly doubt, you can use the machine, and setting it up so you can complete enough reps for 1 minute. So remember, we are trying to train your aerobic energy system for paddling here, but using the paddling muscles, okay? So this is where we're getting surf specific extension holds, okay? So if just doing the hold is too easy, you can add in the arms going up and down, or you can try even both arms going forwards and up and down. I think the alternating one is probably better. And then you're going to go straight into jumping jacks for 1 minute. So in total, you will have 4 exercises for 1 minute. So one set is 4 minutes long. Then do as many sets, well, until you can't go anymore really. So this is going to increase your aerobic capacity. So again, going back to our previous episodes, you can see on this table that in order to train either power or your aerobic energy system, you need to adhere to certain training variables to allow that to happen. So make sure you keep that in mind if you decide to sub in any exercises. The main little tip I would give you is just identify your weaknesses and turn them into your strengths. Thanks for watching this video to the end. These are the bonus tips in order to keep your shoulders nice and healthy and avoid any imbalances from surfing. So surfing, we do a lot of this, okay? And basically the muscles that get really overworked and overused are your pecs, anterior deltoid, and your lats, okay? That leads to that kind of hunchback, kind of internally rotated kind of posture. It doesn't look great. And it's not great for your shoulders either. So we need to make sure that we keep all those muscles nice and flexible and mobile as well. Otherwise it'll start to affect the shoulder joints and lots of other stuff as well. So here you can see I'm in a Y position with my hand on the wall. This is going to get my pec minor. I put my hand on my ribs and I'm twisting myself round. And just in a second, I'm going to pause in that sticky position and I'm going to press my hand into the wall to do a PNF. I'm now in more of a T position, This is to target more the pec major. So same thing again, rotating. When you find your sticking point after a few reps, do some PNFs in that position. This one is for lat flexibility. It's called butcher's block. So set it up as shown. Just floss your hands back and forth. When you find a sticking point, again, pressing down into the chair to do a PNF, and just repeat that. So another one for the lat flexibility is just passive hanging. Here's a variation where my feet are assisting me, or if that's too easy, take your feet off the floor as I've just done. Just chill, breathe. You can then try a one-handed variation if you feel comfortable, or if that's not quite right, just do a one-arm assisted like I'm doing now. I'm just showing you on the other side, so just hold basically somewhere in your forearm to give it a little bit of extra assistance. Or you can try one hand and you should feel like you're going to spin, just let that spin happen, use your feet to assist, or you can lift your feet off the ground as well if you want to. This is a peanut, so you place it on your back, put it around the middle of your back, and then you can either just lie on it, or if you feel as though it's not too painful and you're comfortable with it, you can actually go up into a bridge as I'm just showing here. Okay, then to get more bang for your buck, if you add some arm rotations as I'm showing, that really helps. Or you can hug yourself and just go up and down. So this is going to help to open up that T-spine, that thoracic spine extension. So lastly, we want to just lock in that range that we've just opened up. So what we're going to do is end range lift offs. Okay, so these suck, but they're really good. So you're going to put your hand up on something like a kettlebell, a chair, whatever, and just push with the other hand into the floor, the one that's on the kettlebell, try and lift it up. See, I would also include some external rotator calf work, whether that's just with a dumbbell in this position or with a band on my hand. It's just really important to, again, strengthen those muscles up to basically counteract being in that position. We want to do the opposite. So that brings me to the end of episode 3. In our next episode, we're going to be looking at the pop-up and how you can improve your pop-up with practical sessions. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new today. If you did enjoy this video, we'd really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up, share it with someone you know, or hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next episode.